In 2016, Star Ocean 5 Integrity and Faithlessness was released and its reception was not so great. Most critics didn't like it and many fans were left disappointed, believing that it spelt the end for this long-running JRPG series. Fortunately, this was not the case. In October of 2022, Star Ocean 6 The Divine Force was released. The series lived to see another day, and I was all for it. Now, I've just played through the entire series as part of my Star Ocean Session series, and wow, what a ride. This series has its ups and downs, but I can, without hesitation, say that The Divine Force is up there with the best the series has to offer. Before we get into it, if you're a fan of Star Ocean or JRPGs in general, make sure you sub for more videos, such as my Star Ocean series ranking video coming very soon. Also, a code for this game was provided by Square Enix and all footage that you see is from the PS5 version of the game. Have you played The Divine Force yet? What did you think of it? Let me know in the comments below. Alright, let's get into it. The Divine Force takes place between Star Ocean 5 and Star Ocean 3 on the planet of Astra 4. There is no requirement to have played the other games in the series, as Star Ocean 6 features a new world, new characters, and a brand new conflict. With that said, there are some cool references to previous games that I enjoyed, but these are by no means required knowledge. The game starts off with Raymond crashing down from the sky above and immediately makes it his mission to locate his companions. While on a mission of her own, Princess Leticia finds Raymond and the two end up teaming up together. If you've played other Star Ocean games, this may sound familiar. You've got an underdeveloped planet with its own issues and then a clear influence by another planet's technology. You could say that the main narrative is split into two. The focus starts with a local conflict between two warring nations on Astra 4 with a little bit of sci-fi shining through. Then towards the end of the game, the focus shifts to a pure sci-fi story. Something that I really liked about the Divine Force's storytelling is its dual protagonist system. Star Ocean 6 returns to its Star Ocean 2 roots in the ability to choose the main protagonist. While this doesn't have an impact on the main plot, there are a few events when the characters split up and you can only see your chosen character's point of view. There are also two optional characters that you can recruit depending on which path you choose. This means that if you want to get the most out of the story, you're going to have to play the game twice, but doing so isn't really necessary. I found a lot of enjoyment in the story. It was well written, the pacing was good, and I was genuinely interested from start to finish. This is largely thanks to the strong cast of characters. They are all unique and likable in their own way, with their own reasons to tag along with Raymond and Leticia. Even the most annoying party members actually become quite likable, especially after viewing all of the private actions. If you're new to the series, private actions are optional conversations that activate when talking to party members around town at the right time. This means that you'll constantly need to return to previously visited towns and talk to your party at various stages through the game. This is absolutely worthwhile, as not only are most of these conversations entertaining, but they will also impact character relationships required for extra ending sequences. Yes, it is true. Star Ocean 6 does not look as pretty as modern AAA titles, but honestly, I had no real issues with the visuals. Most of the locations look great and the character designs are fine. My only nitpick here would be that the character facial expressions do look a little stiff, or dare I say, doll-like. I mean, this is nowhere nearly as bad as Lim from Star Ocean 4, but they do look stiff and undetailed most of the time. The soundtrack, composed by industry legend Motoi Sakuraba, is decent enough, even if it's not his best work. There were a few decent tracks, but most of them were just there in the background and soon forgotten. For the most part, the voice acting was really good, but I'm still undecided on Leticia, who sounds odd. Maybe it's just meant to be her proper princess accent. I don't know. What do you think about this one? Now, there are a few very noticeable issues with the game's presentation and performance, all of which will hopefully be resolved in future patches. Firstly, there are frame rate drops. I played this on the PS5 and quite often, usually when running around busy towns, the frame rate noticeably dropped. The next issue is with the size of the font. This is just ridiculous. I played the game on a 75-inch screen and still had to squint to read this tiny ass text. I do not understand how something like this was not brought up during the development process. Then there's the draw distance, which is pretty much as small as the font size. NPCs will pop up right in front of you out of nowhere more often than this guy. Toasty! While the explorable environments of the Divine Force are not open world, they are still large and expansive and easily the biggest and most enjoyable to explore in the series. The thing that makes this exploration so great is your little robot Duma. It allows you to zoom around the place, making vertical exploration possible. There's quite a bit to find too, such as treasure chests hidden around the place, items for item creation, mini bunnies for a side quest, and purple crystals required to upgrade Duma. While these environments and the overall exploration experience is at its best when compared to previous games, there is still room for improvement here. Firstly, there are often visible orange barriers that pop up preventing progression, and this completely destroys your immersion with the environment. Sometimes it just makes no sense for these barriers to be where they are. These open regions are also very lifeless. Sure, there's a fair amount of things to find, but there is a lack of enemies inhabiting them. I mean, it is often a mission to actually find enemies to fight. In regards to the towns, they all look great and are full of NPCs, but you can't interact with a large majority of them. The game is 100% voice acted, but I would have preferred to have these NPCs just have written dialogue if it meant that I could actually talk to them. Much like the exploration, the combat also reaches a serious high. As you would expect, it is an action combat system, allowing you to switch between your 4 active members at any time. You can map various attacks to 3 of the face buttons on the controller, and performing these attacks consume different amounts of AP, which recharges when you're not attacking. You can increase your maximum AP in various ways during battle, but will lose AP if you're hit. This means that it's important to try to keep your max AP up, which will allow you to perform longer combos. I really loved how these combos worked, as you can select which skills to map to which buttons in the menu. There is so much variety here, and I know that my combo setup will be entirely different to yours. The next thing that makes this combat so great is how you can use Duma. Below your AP gauge is the Duma gauge that can be used on a range of different battle techniques. For example, you can use Duma to zoom in and out of the action, or to activate blindsides, which will increase your AP and deal more damage to your enemy. What I love about this combat is that each character plays so differently. Midas, for instance, is a mage who requires time to cast his spells. The more devastating the attacks, the longer the cast time, but to help him out, he can use Duma to protect himself while casting. Nina, on the other hand, cannot damage enemies at all. Instead, she can target allies for her heals and buffs. Unfortunately, she was the only one with healing skills, which made selecting her an obvious choice. My only real issue with the combat is the fiddly target system. You can lock onto an enemy and switch between them, but there's still no easy way to just auto-target your closest enemy. The entire Star Ocean series is amusingly really bad in this area. In terms of difficulty, Star Ocean 6 is as unbalanced as it has ever been. I am almost always a normal difficulty kind of guy, but for most of the game I was absolutely owning everything on the universe difficulty, which is initially the hardest. But then the odd boss would come along and absolutely whoop my ass, forcing me to lower the difficulty. I was switching around quite a bit, and I would have really liked some more balance here. It would not be a Star Ocean game without item creation, run by our favourite inventor, Welch. This item creation system works a lot like Star Ocean 5 in that as you do more quests for Welch, you'll unlock new item creation types such as compounding, smithery, and synthesis. It's super simple here. Just choose an item or a combination of items and let the random number generator do its thing and hope for the best. Item creation certainly hasn't taken a leap forward in Star Ocean 6, but it's still more than serviceable and is required to craft the best gear. Star Ocean 6 also doesn't fall short in its optional content. There's quite a few NPC side quests scattered throughout the world, but these are pretty generic and most of them just reward you with cash. I did some of these but never felt motivated enough to complete them all. Then there's the post-game dungeons and super bosses, which is a staple of the Star Ocean series, but more importantly, ladies and gentlemen, we have Isoa. This is easily the best minigame the series has ever produced. Basically, it's a board game that allows you to travel the world and take on a load of NPCs to both improve your rank and to receive different game pieces. While this game is incredibly easy and does not require much strategy, it was still a load of fun, and I really loved how the different pieces you collect are all characters from past Star Ocean and Tri-Ace games. If only there was some indication of who you have defeated. A simple feature on the minimap to display this would have saved a lot of running around and re-challenging opponents more times than I needed to. One of the major ways to get your party stronger is through a character's equipment. Each can equip a character-specific weapon type, a piece of armor, and 2 accessories. Nothing new here, right? Games have been doing this for decades, right? This would be very hard to screw up, right? Right? And that, my friends, is my cue to discuss what is perhaps the most annoying part of the Divine Force: accessory management. You will obtain loads of accessories, partly because every single Asoa piece is equipable as an accessory. Now, managing your accessories can be an absolute bitch since there is just so many to scroll through and no fast or easy way to sort through or categorize them. This wouldn't be such an issue if the characters didn't automatically unequip their accessories when leaving the party. This happens dozens of times and it always took me way longer than it should have to find which ones I wanted and re-equip them. Like seriously, did no one during the playtesting think this was an issue? You've got to wonder sometimes. Toasty! The other ways to build your characters are pretty standard. Characters get skill points when leveling up, and these can be used to either learn skills and increase stats in their unique skill tree or to strengthen existing skills. Your Duma can also be strengthened by spending Duma points, which, as I mentioned before, are these purple crystals scattered throughout the environments. There are quite a few skills to learn here, and the ones that you choose to equip will have an impact on your battle strategies. Star Ocean 6: The Divine Force may not be perfect, but it is a very well-rounded experience and one of my favorites in the series. But is it my number one? You have to wait until my ranking video for that one. The story is one of the best things about Star Ocean 6. It was fun, had some great pacing, and I felt the mix between fantasy and technology was perfect. But this is largely due to the great cast of characters who were all likable in their own way, and it was great to learn more about them through the private action system. The combat is also the best in the series. Each character plays so differently and I really loved switching between them and designing my own combos. This of course is enhanced by Duma, who adds a lot to battle strategies and general exploration for that matter. The Divine Force is far from perfect though. The game is really missing some quality of life features such as accessory management and indicating defeated Asoa players. The presentation and performance issues also hold the game back. The draw distance is tiny, the text size is tinier, and there are frame rate drops when running around town. What did you think of Star Ocean 6? Do you agree with what I said? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, it would help me out a lot to hit that like button, and if you're a Star Ocean or JRPG fan, make sure you sub for more content, such as my Star Ocean ranking video coming very soon. This was Hellfire RPGs. See you next time.